Hey, Jerry here, and today I entitled this the battle of the belly fat. So, are we really getting rid of the fat in around the stomach when we do abdominals? How do we get rid of it? And do we really need to do as much abdominals as we be advertised to? So let's start with a little bit of anatomy, understanding what exactly is the fat and where it's stored. As you can see on the left side, you have three pictures, and it teaches us that there is three kind of fat. The subcutaneous fat, which is probably the one that is the belly when it's a little bit floppy, that is the one you want to get rid of. Then there is the visceral fat, that is the one in between your organs. And then there is the retroperitoneal fat, the one behind. And then lastly, the one that doesn't show here, there is the interstitial fat, the one that is in between the muscle, as you can see on the right side. As you would eat a steak, sometimes you see that there is more fat or not. So unfortunately, when we train, especially when we do so many abdominals, what we're really using first is the one in between the muscles, so the one that you see on the right side. And that's not necessarily the one that you want to see, subcutaneous, that is the one in front of your belly. So at the end of the day, we really need to think more about consuming, really making exercise to consume the interstitial and as well as the visceral fat. That is the only fat that is actually dangerous, in the one in between your organ, that is dangerous for you to develop risk of cardiac heart disease, risk of diabetes, risk of obesity, and all these things. So basically, if anything, that should be the way that we have to think on about training the abdominal. Also, is something that is interesting to actually see the way the abdominal is. There is like this that you see on the left side is the rectus abdominis. Then there is two obliques abdominis. There is a transverse that is under that. But as you can see, all of them, they're like very, very tiny muscle, very, very um, not deep as well. Well, transverse is deep, but they're very, very tiny. They're not thick, and they're not easy to put on muscle mass as it would be, for example, legs or back or big muscle. As you can see here, 30 minutes of abdominal, you would do maybe 300 abdominal on that. You would burn anywhere between 50 to 80 calories, while when you burn high interval training or anywhere like those circuits that I suggest you guys do, you burn in 30 minutes for 100 calories. So you can imagine that overall you need to burn as many calories as you want and have a decent or good nutrition, so you can get a lower fat percentage, so the abdominals can show better. So it's really useless at times to train the abdominal, overtrain the abdominal. So the abdominal needs to be trained in a certain manner, and I'm gonna say at the end how. But as you can understand, the total calorie burn is much higher when you do training itself than the whole body together than just training the abdominal itself. So the whole thing about the abdominals, unfortunately, they are made in the kitchen, like a lot of people let you believe. So as long as you have between 12 and 15% in women, you should be able to see the abdominals. And it's not really about having the hypertrophy or the lean body mass on the stomach, as well as having a tiny little skin around it. If you have about 2 inch or 4 centimeter around the abdominals, you're not gonna see the abdominals so well. That's how, and unfortunately, you do need to pay attention to the nutrition as much as the training, and not really only focusing on training the abdominals itself. Subcutaneous fat, as you can see here, is more and directly correlated to nutrition. So the one that you actually see on the stomach is correlated to nutrition. While visceral fat, and again, this is the much more important fat that I would like everybody to pay attention to. It's not so cosmetical, but it's very important for you to do it. It's correlated directly to training, and more specifically to high interval training. As you can imagine, this is the fat you want to be targeting first of all, in order first of all to get the volume down so you can contract your abdominal better. As you can see, the one in the middle, you get rid of the one in the middle, your stomach naturally gonna be more flat. And then of course the last little belly fat that you have, that can be take advantage or like take in consideration how eating well. Unfortunately, there is no spot reduction. Like there was some study that shows spot reduction, is doable with some kind of training, but it's not consistent enough. It's enough for you to see it. If it makes any sense, you targeting the abdominals, it will not get you get you to be more defined in the abdominals. So it's overall there is some study that shows that, but it's not significant. And here, again, the specific type of training for visceral fat and for the fat in general is, as I said many times, very similar to what I put on the membership side. So it would be circuits without rest or very little rest, an exercise after another. And of course, in a combination with you having a higher muscle mass, and that would be done either in the gym or in the house, as long as you do progress every single week. When and where should we train the abdominals? Maybe thinking about what is the functionality around it. If you have back pain, you should be doing the core, so not only the abdominal but also the back. So an exercise that can be emphasized here can be the plank or any variation of the plank or the Spider-Man's. As you can see on more of our program we included. Much of our program is also full body because I intend to have you train not only the abdominals, and also the abdominals are not trained only when you do abdominals, but when you do a squat, a deadlift, straight leg deadlift, or even on the bench press at times you have to contract. The abdominal contracts every single time just to keep you up straight and to contract your viscera. So you have to think and realize that you're always doing abdominals. Another way should be obviously if you according to a goal. So if you're an athlete, it's contact sport, for example, require a lot of stabilization. So you can do or sport exercise such as this on the Bosu ball or on the other ball, stability ball. Always try to train the abdominal in different ways and different plane of motion and in different position as well. It's gonna give you like a full benefit itself. And of course, from the medium user, as you have to train based on your metabolism and based on your BMI and based on your goals, and realize that there is no black or white, is always gray. So as you can see here, somebody with a good metabolism, he has also a good glucose response, a insulin response. Somebody that is an obese metabolism, everything will be alterated. So it's good to do abdominals, but not necessarily, just need to be done abdominals. All these things shows you that based on where you are, in medium user usually needs at least and only about 2-3 times a week, and train it with different stimuli. Training one time dynamically, training one time high reps, training one time for the time, meaning like you get 10 minutes, as many abdominal you can do. Train one time with really heavy weight, maybe with the machine, only about 3 to 5 sets of 8 repetition to 10, maybe. Train one time with 15 to 20 reps. So you want to change the stimulus as much as you can. If you do it 3 times a week, you want to be training abdominals in maybe 3 different stimulus, right? So very, very important. And as you can understand, maybe this gives you a little bit more perspective on how not doing only abdominal, or especially not doing abdominal to get rid of your belly fat, will help.